Thrilled to offer the state of the business. This will be a quick overview, but I want to start with something even quicker, and that is our business is strong. And we're grateful for that. We're grateful to all of you that help support it and to our customers, because in this economic environment and in this pandemic, we're very lucky to be, in the technology business and to be supporting all the digital transformation that's happening around the world today. Jen, let's go to the next slide. Let me give you some numbers to support that. First of all, we have 630 customers that have gone live since the beginning of this year, which I think is a true accomplishment. A couple of those are very large. I'll mention two: Ahold Delhaize, who went live with over 100,000 employees on payroll, and then Kohl's down in Australia, similar numbers, and both went very well. And we have many other success stories. Marianne will talk a little bit more about those as well. We also have increased customer satisfaction and support scores. Now, this is something we have been focused on. We knew it was very important. It's the most important number, really, as we look at how we're serving our customers. We measure customer satisfaction at SAP with an NPS score. And while we don't share those externally, I can tell you that for SuccessFactors, for our set of products, we have a double-digit increase year over year, which is truly incredible, thanks to the very hard work of our product and engineering team, and also our customer success teams that are supporting customers in the field. Our second half release is upcoming. We have exciting things to share with you today. First of all, we have a new homepage. If you've attended SuccessConnect, you've seen some of these things already. We have redesigned feedback, goals, and learning experiences. We have embedded Qualtrics EX capabilities, and these things will continue to build on our new user experience reimagined vision. We also are very excited about the launch of SAP WorkZone for HR. You've heard about this as well. It brings together a number of different capabilities across SAP, across all the HR functions, but also outside of just HR applications. And we have new time management capabilities. One additional item that you may have not heard so far is that we have welcomed the Litmus team, which was previously part of another area of the SAP business. We brought that into the SuccessFactors organization. And we're very excited about the outcomes and results that will follow from having an integrated force addressing learning. Let me share just a few updated customer numbers. So 7,000 global customers. When you add Qualtrics, that gets to 8,000. When you add Litmus, that goes over 11,000. When we talk about customers in the cloud, just recently we hit our 4,000th customer on Employee Central. So customers truly believing that all of their employee data should be in the cloud. That trajectory is strong. Something that we haven't mentioned before, but we've been challenged from many of you on this topic is, what portion of the Fortune 500 do you serve? Well, here are the numbers: 43% of the Fortune 500, 31% of the Fortune 100. And Marianne, again, will share some logos of those here in just a moment so you can see specifically who those are. This gets us to greater than 164 million global users, 1.2 billion daily transactions. We have over 290 partners in our App Center. And as you all know, we're extremely proud of our global scale and the way that we continue to deliver products to multinational giant corporations, 99 countries localized for HR and 46 localized for payroll. That doesn't include partner localizations. So those are the numbers, and we're extremely excited to share those with you today. Jen, let's go to the next slide. So those numbers kind of share where we are today, exactly what we have achieved. This is our top 5 priorities list, and it is the same list that we have shared with the board, that we track to in terms of investments and what our teams are delivering on. So I wanted to talk you through them briefly. First of all, customer success is our #1 priority, and that's no surprise. And as I mentioned, we have some trending metrics that are showing that we're making good progress here. Additionally, we are investing in solution stability, security, and continuing to deliver on our roadmap like never before. We've recognized there have been some bumps in the road in the past. That is no longer our story. The narrative is changing, and we are excited about continuing to deliver on our roadmap and on that security and stability. Secondly, making the cloud HXM market. So we talked about HXM for the first time last year. We've had a lot of questions. Is this still relevant? More relevant than ever, resonating in big ways, putting people at the center and providing the end user with journeys, with intelligent nudges and recommendations and employee feedback loops, really taking that sentiment data and pulling it back into the operational data and the processes. That's what the HXM market is all about, and we're excited about continuing to deliver that. We want to accelerate the journey to the cloud. So this is really supporting our HCM on-premise customers to move to cloud core HR. With our strategic product investments and our plan, we believe that this will happen much more quickly as we move through the next few releases. Number 4 is rapid and scalable innovation. Now, this involves working with our partners, but it's also some things that we're doing to help ensure customers who have purchased SuccessFactors but may not be maximizing the value that they're getting from it can do that. So, for instance, we have a back to work initiative, which is by our services team, an effort to bring together a few core functionalities that help us bring people back to work more quickly. It's often functionality that our customers already have. We've just put out some things that help them get to realizing that value sooner. And then last, but certainly not least, you've probably all heard me talk about learning. It's a passion area for us. We're looking at learning as a way to get more quickly to upskilling and reskilling, and also to deliver cultural and business transformation. So the Litmus Move is part of that. We're also looking at learner experiences as well as a learning intelligence platform. And I think you'll hear a little bit more about that from Amy later.
Can you validate for me? I've talked to a number of CIOs, and the good news for you is they're fed up with on-premise systems. You know, the VPN provisioning, the scaling, all kinds of issues with on-premise. The bad news for you, at least what I've heard, is they go, I don't think we can afford to move to SaaS. We're going to look at a hyperscaler and maybe a third-party maintenance of my legacy on-premise PeopleSoft or whatever HR system. Are you seeing some of that? Or am I just hearing a small sample which may not be very representative?
Well, I guess I don't hear that exactly. Because normally what they're looking at in terms of building that business case is, and it's usually fairly rock solid, is they're going to be able to drastically reduce their own internal, support costs, that moving to a SaaS environment pencil for them. And so I don't see that exactly. Now, where we get into, the nitty-gritty detail, and this is an area that we really work closely with customers, is around how we make that transition and ramp them into that SaaS environment while ramping down their on-premise costs. And usually we work very tightly with them so that we can make that business case work for them. And it's usually a business case that's done jointly with the two of us.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for all of the great questions. Amy, we are going to move on to you. You're next.
All right. Sounds great. Okay, let's go to the next slide, Jen. So we introduced HXM just over a year ago, and what I wanted to share today was the progress that we've made to date in the last year since we announced it, and then also to share what we have in store for the next year and more. So first off, there's really two focus areas that we've had with HXM over the last year. The first is around reimagining our experiences across the board, right? To be end-to-end, to incorporate intelligent technologies, new patterns, to be able to make those reusable, extensible, and adaptable. And then the second part is the Qualtrics piece, really truly connecting and integrating with Qualtrics, embedding Qualtrics into our solutions so the voice of the employee is always heard. So those are the two things I'm going to talk about, and then we'll talk about where we're headed going forward, in addition to those two topics. Okay, so let's go to the next slide, Jen. Okay, so when it comes to our design philosophy, as we are reimagining our experience, we really have two focus areas. The first is on the technology side. So how do we make a great technology experience? Something that feels personal to you, it allows you to be efficient, get in, get out, And it also allows people to see opportunity to improve themselves, opportunity to engage, et cetera. And then there's the other side, which is really psychology. Right? So we're not just looking at it from a technology perspective. And I think you all know that we are blessed to have a psychology department within our organization. So an IO research organization led by PhDs in IO psychology. And this group really leads the way in terms of understanding what makes a great day, at work. And there's loads of other things that they do as well. But they were essential in terms of connecting the dots on what we were looking to deliver for design. It seems like we've got a lot of background noise. Can we mute? Jen, can we mute folks that are, thank you. So from a psychology perspective, again, what makes that great day? So these are durable things that matter to people. And how do we infuse those into our human-centered design philosophy? Okay, so now that said, let's go to the next slide and we'll take a look at what we've been up to for the last year. Again, I don't think this is going to come as a huge surprise, especially since we've been talking about it here, there, and everywhere. But we are really focusing on valuing every person every day. And that extends from our psychology and technology research and focus. From a top to bottom perspectives, time sensitive tasks, frequently accessed actions, and so on. And really building this unified experience across SuccessFactors, eliminating any sort of silos from the past created because of how things were built and constructed and the time they were, but also the way that departments used to approach HR departments used to approach different functions. And as we've stated before, we're committed to delivering on web, iOS, and Android simultaneously. And we have done that with the new experiences that we've been delivering. We design first on native mobile and deliver all together. So as of the end of this year, currently either already having gone beta or GA in the first half of the year, and now in preview. We just went into our preview release this past weekend, and then we'll be going into production in November. We've got our new homepage. Now will be generally available, opt-in for customers. We will be beginning the clock on a universal push from a year from now. But for now, it's opt-in, giving customers a grace period, of course. And then our continuous performance, let's call it 2.0, right? So we introduced continuous performance management many years ago, five plus years ago. We now have over 2,000 customers running continuous performance management. But with continuous performance management 2.0, we're really taking it from an HR programmatic and to some degree siloed approach to something that's very integrated and very employee-centric. So we've reimagined activities, goals, achievements, feedback, and one-on-one meetings. Recognition and rewards, which has been really key for our customers that have the need to engage their folks without much of a budget. Recognition and rewards includes both, small peer-based awards, monetary awards, as well as non-monetary awards. Learning courses reimagined, a timesheet reimagined, pay statements. So all sorts of capabilities, and then all again connected into this new homepage navigation. The second area is Qualtrics. And let's go ahead and move to the next slide, Jen. Okay, and so we've been super busy. The partnership with the Qualtrics team has been extraordinary. So, we've had lots of enthusiasm and excitement in the field, but that is really stemming from the enthusiasm and excitement on the R&D side. So we've been in lockstep in terms of our joint roadmap with the employee experience portion of Qualtrics. We delivered some initial embedded use cases in the first half of the year, which we shared previously. That was around candidate surveys, as well as feedback after a performance review cycle. But with this release, we've added many, many more intercepts. So throughout the employee life cycle, that includes, many of you may be familiar with the intelligent services capability that we have within SuccessFactors. So triggers based on intelligent services. So things like a new manager, a transfer, promotion, a new hire, et cetera, can then trigger a Qualtrics survey. And then many programs. So in addition to performance reviews, mentoring, as well as benefits enrollment. So upon the completion of those programs, we now have built-in Qualtrics survey capabilities. The other thing that's a little bit more behind the scenes that we did this release was to create a unified administration. So within SuccessFactors, you can create and deploy Qualtrics surveys without feeling like you have to go to a whole separate system. So Stasia, to your point earlier in the chat, you know, the requests from customers to make it feel like one product, that is something that we've fully addressed with the second half release. Okay, so that's just a quick you know, execution update in a nutshell. But let's talk about what's next for HXM. So first off, we really felt like there was a need to define the X in HXM and to take that to the next level. Learning as a key component. So I'll talk about that in some depth. And then the investments that we're making to support our customers in their journey from on-premise to the cloud so that they can take advantage of HXM sooner. Okay, so first off, let's go to the next slide, Jen. If you tuned into SuccessConnect, then you'll be familiar with this. But what we've done, and again, this is joint work across our design team, our strategy team, and our research IO psychologist team, and then of course with customers. And so what we did was we took a step back and looked at the evolution of engagement in the market and in our industry. And it really started with, engagement, just talking about engagement. And over the last few years, we've really been focused on moments that matter. And that's been a real elevation of that, elevation and also specification of engagement, right? Really pinpointing when is engagement super important. But it's still very much a programmatic approach, right? It's still very much HR focused. HR is determining, hey, there's these 12 steps in an employee life cycle that we believe are particularly important, and we're going to put emphasis on those and create, programs around those. But where we really need to go is to really bring that to the individual, really bring that to the employee, and talk about moments that matter to me to get to a level of true individualization. And so if we go to the next slide, we're introducing this concept of the whole self. So this goes beyond just an individual as someone who has particular skills and particular experiences, though those are really important. There's so much more to an individual in terms of how they are perceiving the environment, how they are able to deal with change, how they are able to adapt, what they're able to take on. And all of this is very important in terms of how an organization can be successful. So we talk about our whole selves, who we are and who we are becoming. And this includes things like passions and aspirations, work styles, motivations, etc. And so if we go to the next slide, obviously there could be some skepticism. Okay, well, if we put all of the focus on the individual and their whole self and making them feel good and confident and adaptable at every point, aren't we forgetting about the business and what the business really needs, right? Well, our argument is that no, in fact, these actually go hand in hand together. If we think about what organizations are really trying to accomplish, and organizations, in terms of the results that they're trying to achieve, are about developing capability. It's about transforming culture, overall business transformation, and really being much more agile, right? And so if we connect these two things together in terms of this individual and what is going to matter to them and make a difference for them and connect them to what they care about and then what the business cares about, that centerpiece, that missing link between the two, this whole self model and the organizational agility and results, is learning. So if we can just pop that out, Jen, yeah. And so learning is, we're using learning with, I don't know if it's a capital L or a lowercase l, but it's learning from a very broad definition perspective, right? We're not talking about LMS. We're not talking about LXP or learning content specifically. It is a very broad definition of learning in which we enable people to acquire skills, to change behaviors, to adapt, etc. And so then this brings us to our strategy and investment to support our customers in their ongoing journey from on-premise to the cloud. And so we all recognize that it is a multi-year journey for customers. It's not just a snap the fingers and we move off of on-premise entirely and move over to the cloud entirely. There are many, many customers that, regardless of the enhancements in technologies around payroll and time and even core HR, they will have portions of their landscape that are in our on-premise for years to come. So we have a four-pronged approach, and kind of starting. Let me start with the end over here. So our intention, the end state, the target state, is really about getting to parity and innovation in the cloud so that our customers can entirely move there, right? So we have tripled, quadrupled our investment in time management. And this is where we are aggressively innovating, getting to parity, building a true time tracking product. We will be, and I believe we shared that at SuccessConnect a couple of weeks ago, we will be introducing a time tracking SKU in January. We just reinvented the timesheet. We're adding loads of capabilities, particularly for blue collar workers, as well as for localizations around the world. And then from a payroll perspective, we are reinventing payroll, right? This is a long game though, right? Whether it's EC payroll or whether it's native cloud payroll, we are really looking at, what are the big native cloud capabilities that we can build for the long term. So, we have the world leading on-premise payroll we have for the last 40 years. What does the next 40 years look like? But no matter what, we see, like in the coming years, we will have customers that have a landscape that includes some EC payroll, that includes some native cloud payroll, includes some on-premise payroll, and even some partner payroll, right? I mean, that's the reality of the landscape. And so in the meantime, while, it's very important for our customers to begin moving over to Core HR, to Employee Central, right? And so we're doing things with Core HR to enhance that functionality, to make that more appealing, to move from on-premise to the cloud. But there was also this missing piece, which is number 2, which I think is really important for us all to understand, is to make Core HR, the move to Core HR on the cloud, more appealing, while recognizing that customers may still be leveraging time on premise and payroll certainly for a good time to come. How can we take the hybrid experience that our customers are encountering and really streamline it and harmonize it in a way that it is exceptional? And it's exceptional specific to SAP. And this is where we use things like the SAP Cloud Platform workflow and One Inbox and so on to create a harmonized experience for our customers. This is something that we're partnering on with a number of our customers, including Nestle. Nestle, as you know, has been live on Core HR for a couple of years now, but they also use our on-premise payroll. So how can we make that experience better for them?
Wore a sports jacket for you all, so this gives you a sense of just how valuable we find your time. And, that's right. And how excited we are to talk about technology for a few minutes, because a lot of the things that Amy was talking about, both with our HXM vision and with our learning vision, are really driven by technology. So I'm excited to get a chance to talk with you, Brian, and to kind of share our technology vision, which sometimes we imply but maybe don't share quite as much. So thank you for this. But before we start talking about vision forward looking, I know that many in this group have heard vision in the past from you. So I would love to kind of remind everyone here of kind of what our vision has been and how we're progressing on that journey from your perspective. So where are we today in the Brian Ellison's broader vision for technology within SuccessFactors?
That's great. Thanks, Megan. And I do recognize, I saw some people that I do recognize from last year. So it's good to see you virtually and good to see that everybody's doing well. And I'm super excited to talk a little bit about the technology to support a lot of the vision stuff that you just saw up front here. So I didn't go through all of these last time at SuccessConnect, but I really think it's important for this group to understand where we've been focused technically, and it's in service to amplifying the outcomes that Jill and Amy and everyone has just presented. And so I'm just going to spend a couple minutes on each one, and I'll talk about some of the progress we made on the ones that I went deeper on last time. So first is fast, confident, and flawless. And think of this as, this is us creating an assembly line for our engineers to get product out to our customers with super high confidence. So basically very high quality, and do this fast. And so why this is important is, one is it lowers our cost to innovate. You can see the things that Amy's just talking about. We need to innovate fast, and we need to get feedback from our customers, right? We don't want, this is more of a, we want people to think of this as more of a consumer experience where we're constantly getting feedback from our customers. And we want to keep those costs low so we can iterate fast and then drive up quality. So that's why this one's super important to us. It may not seem super sexy, and most of it is internal to SuccessFactors, but there's a lot of automation work and there's a lot of engineering work in order to pull that one off. The next one that I went deeper on at last SuccessConnect, which is really important as we go forward, which is services and APIs. And kind of the vision I painted last time, which the heart of our applications going forward is going to be APIs with services. So we're going to have a distributed architecture. We want to move away from monolithic thinking and more to the right size services with APIs that can be consumed not only by our products, but also externally, because a lot of our customers want to innovate on us. And so, your takeaway should be that we're moving from not only having beautiful applications and creating those experiences for our employees, but we want our customers to be able to innovate on our platform as well as our partners. And so to do that, APIs and services are kind of at the center of where we're moving forward, and we want our APIs to be thought of as our product as well. Frictionless ecosystems, I dove a little bit on that one, and that's really about the intelligent enterprise, if you really want to summarize it. And it's not only eliminating the seams across SuccessFactors, but it's eliminating the seams across the portfolio of SAP assets to make sure we work well together. Delightful human experiences. I spent a lot of time on that, and I showed a couple slides. We're not going to do that here, but this is, and I think Amy did a wonderful job kind of showing how we think about human experiences. And the key takeaway here is that data and the workloads we're going to be managing going forward, data becomes a key asset and a key piece of our engineering that we need to do. So we're moving away from, I call it your grandfather's enterprise app solution, to where everything is prompt driven, let the employee do all the work. We want to move to do it with me, do it for me experiences, things like search, recommendations. And Amy gave some of this vision when she walked through the learning, all the way out to conversational experiences, right? But all of this requires data. And so this is a key piece of our tech strategy. And then the last one is and I spent time on this, the implicit requirements from our customers, which is, be secure, be always on, and be performant. Everything I just talked about are kind of foundational elements to some of this, right? So the move to the hyperscalers, there was a good discussion on that earlier. Always on, we aspirationally want to have zero downtime deployments. That requires a lot of that assembly line I talked about. And so I'm really happy with the progress we've made. I'll just give a couple teasers. This release, we've got new APIs and services coming out. Got roughly a dozen of those. Some of those are on containers and Kubernetes. So these are some of the backing technologies we're using to deploy these out. And we're continuing to make progress. We talked a little bit about putting net new customers on hyperscalers, right? So starting to solidify our builds on some of these new data centers. And then I think we'll talk more maybe in some of the questions on the intelligent enterprise. So I'll pause there, Meg.
Yeah, so thank you, Brian. And obviously this is a lot of things to be moving simultaneously. So very impressive work from you and your teams in sort of creating that new foundation. Although I do take just a slight bit of umbrage about grandparents' enterprise systems, because I'm pretty sure I built those. So we'll just like to say that we've all evolved, and we do appreciate bringing us into the modern era and taking advantage of some of the velocity that's available to us, both in the cloud and with new technologies. So anyway, but I want to dig in a little bit more on intelligent enterprise. So obviously SAP-wide is invested heavily in intelligent enterprise, this concept of making sure that within the cloud, we have the kind of interconnectivity that we used to have when we had on-premise and had a sort of a closed system where everything talks to each other. So at the broadest level, making sure that cloud interconnectivity works beautifully across SAP assets and across into the extended enterprise. So, that's obviously top of mind for us as a cloud native, cloud first, built in the cloud HR solution. And then as we look at our HXM vision, of course. But I would like to talk a little bit about how the intelligent enterprise is also informing this new learning strategy that Amy was just sharing. So maybe if you could just help talk a little bit about the pieces that you see of this intelligent enterprise and how sort of the SAP technologies are informing our plans on the technology side, as well as some of our vision going forward. So it's kind of a broad thing. There's
a lot there, and I'm organizing in my head right now. But and somebody asked the question earlier, which I think was pretty insightful. They had the observation that there's some certain data elements or entities that might be interesting in what Amy just described as part of the larger vision, right? And that observation is spot on. There's a number of entities, I call them nouns. There's a number of nouns we need to align on to really realize this vision in the large. And so it's not only just within SuccessFactors. We need to align on these nouns. And for those who know SuccessFactors, it's been a lot of acquisitions over the years. But the intelligent enterprise is kind of a forcing function for SAP to get aligned on these nouns. And so we're leveraging that energy to not only create better integrations and connectivity to the larger SAP and all the things we can bring to bear with those types of integrations, but even across SuccessFactors and this learning vision. So one is the nouns. The second one is, and I was kind of poking on it with using data-driven workloads. Part of the intelligent enterprise is not only business services, but there's also, we're prescribing the patterns for how we manage data, move data. And so concepts like a data plane and getting consistent across groups is also a forcing function for within SuccessFactors. We're going to align on common patterns for how we're going to manage these data to realize these experiences, as well as cross SAP. And so those are just a couple examples of, and there's probably more. We could probably spend a good hour on this, but those are a couple examples of how the larger strategy is playing into this learning strategy.
Yeah, and what's really exciting, of course, is that as we look at some of the investments we're making in our HXM Move initiatives and how we're bringing these hybrid experiences to bear, those benefits of the intelligent enterprise become quite material, right? Because for a lot of our customers, they do have a fair amount of investment in on-premise, and as well as an investment with us in the cloud. And so making those experiences delightful across, I think, becomes even more important as we look at our